Okay. So, would you say putting in all the long hours, being first one in, last one out, has paid off for you?
Well, it's paid off for me. The biggest sacrifice you make in starting your own business is family time. And back when I was starting in business, I worked long hours, 6-7 days a week. And at that time, you're struggling to survive, and you don't realize about what you give up in the process.
What was your major in college, and did it have anything to do with entrepreneurship?
I started the major in business administration at Indiana University, but when I got out of high school in 1962 and found myself at IU, it was like 2 more years of high school, and I finally bowed out because I wanted to get on with life, and I didn't need 2 more years of high school. I was already bored with that.
How many businesses have you been part of?
Let's see. Right now I've got 5 different stores that I'm CEO of. Jeff is a partner, my son is a partner in this business, and in the other 4 stores I have 3 partners, and I'm the majority owner, and I'm the one who started the business.
Okay. So with all your businesses, how did you go about designing the business plan and then following through with it?
Well, this business, there was no business plan back at that point. Just hard work. I had an old Jewish friend that told me when I was quite young that pay yourself first. And it took me many years to understand what he meant. And when I first started in the business, I would work long hours. I would take a draw for what I needed for personal expenses and keep the rest of the money in the business. And at the end of the year, if there was anything left, that was mine. And at the end of the year, quite often, that was not very much. And I kept thinking, well, I'm not really making enough for what I'm doing. So I kept thinking about what little more still I need to pay myself first. So if I were to hire either one of you gentlemen, I'd have to put value on hiring me. So finally, it kicked in that I had value in the business, and I needed to pay myself for that value just like I would any other employee. So I contemplated that, and finally I decided what I thought I was worth, and then I decided, well, maybe I'm worth a little more than that. So I started writing myself the first paycheck each week. Couldn't always cash them. I might have a bracket in my checkbook. There's a theoretical bracket because I hadn't cashed the checks, but what it did was force me to fill the bracket. And that's when I started making money.
So along the way to forming these businesses, did you have a lot of help along the way, or was it a lot of just you kind of trial and error?
You're looking at him.
Okay. All right. So when in your career did you notice a demand for your businesses?
Well, if you're talking about the pawn shops, I watched the Indiana Pawnbrokers Act for a number of years, and in 1992, I believe, Indiana changed it to where it was favorable to be in business. And I changed it. I opened a pawn shop.
Okay, what would be the biggest struggle in starting your various businesses?
The biggest struggle that anybody has in starting a business is most people, number one, have personal debt, they have business debt, and they're trying to, out of that business, not only pay their personal debt, but pay their business debt. And if you start a business today and you do not have enough money to survive, never taking a penny out of that business for a year, you better not start it, because you're not going to make it. And if somebody buys a business on a contract, they have an obligation of paying somebody else for the value of their business, including an interest. And if they have a lot of personal debt, they're going to have a tough time making it, unless they're well-disciplined and willing to make the personal sacrifices that are necessary to survive.
What would you say is the biggest struggle in like the upkeep and actually keeping the business going?
The biggest struggle? Employees.
In class, we've been talking a lot about the success of business being each business being different in what matters. What would you say is unique about your businesses, making them different in what matters to the customer?
We have a unique clientele where we can at times have the poor man standing next to a very wealthy man. We've had a very broad base of clientele through the years. We've been fortunate in that respect. We treat everybody equally. When somebody walks in our door, they've done us a favor. They have a need, or they wouldn't walk in the door. If you don't satisfy that need, it's our fault. And sometimes that doesn't always happen, and that's one frustration I always have with employees. Sometimes they don't realize that the customer has done us a favor, and we need to satisfy their needs to the best of our ability. And it's important that you do.
Yeah.
So you spend a lot of money getting people in your door in terms of advertising, and word of mouth can destroy more than all the ads you can run.
And then finally, I guess, do you have any advice for upcoming entrepreneurs?
Discipline, self-discipline.
Yeah.
Pay your bills. Pay your bills first. You're the last one that gets paid. And if you're not willing to commit time and energy and a lot of hours, you're probably not going to be successful. Steve Jobs, who just died, if you look at what he went through when he was a young man, I'm not sure he finished high school, but he didn't go to college and became one of the wealthiest men in the world because he worked a lot of hard hours. Early on, he made a lot of sacrifices for what he did. Another one's Bill Gates, same situation. Most real successful entrepreneurs have paid a price in terms of when they were young people, they had to work a lot of hours. I just saw an email of a letter that a guy wrote to his employees. He's an engineer, and the letter dealt with something along the lines that he couldn't tell his employees how to vote, that he went through all the sacrifices he made through his life, getting his business to where it was, and at this point in life he was paying over 50% of his income in tax. And he went on to say that he didn't know of any of these employees that'd be willing to take a half a paycheck. But if Obama got elected again, that he was going to be sitting on a beach somewhere because he didn't need that job anymore.
Good way to put it.